Okay, hello everybody. Sorry about a couple of false starts there. I was trying to use my laptop to go live, and the encoder didn't really want to work with the latest version of um, YouTube Creator Studio. I guess I could have used the older version, but I couldn't get it to sync up right. Hi Angela. Hi Shane. Good evening. Good evening. So yeah, I was having some problem with my laptop and the encoder, and I think the laptop works better, and I just like the way the laptop works for this live streaming versus my little iPad that I have. Yes. Okay. Before we go any farther, gratuitous cat bomb. She's already begging at me. Oops. You okay, kitty? She's fine. I guess cats don't always land on their feet. She's fine, by the way. Uh, anyway, so technology. I'm not a big technology guy. I'm really have a hard time with it sometimes. Like, I'm not a big social media guy. Like, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all this other stuff. And it's like I have an Instagram and a Twitter. I don't like Facebook. I read and look more than I post. And people have these really cool stories and all this other stuff that they do on Instagram. And I just don't know how to do it, or do I care enough to really do it? Um, the quickest Q&A in YouTube history. Yeah, sorry about that. Like I said, I had some false starts there. I had some problem with the new YouTube Creator Studio software pairing up with my encoder that lets you do that. But if you use a phone or an iPad, you don't have those problems when you go live. So we're on the iPad. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys about some equipment. If you guys have seen my latest video, and also a little bit of an update as well, kind of all sorts of stuff. You notice that I've kind of branched out a bit. People are kind of shocked that, oh, he's talking about ghosts and he's talking about paranormal stuff and he talks about the occasional UFO stuff. Well, even from the beginning of the channel, going way back, I've always kind of talked about the broader topics of the paranormal. We mainly focus on Bigfoot, and I'd say the channel's 80 or 90% Bigfoot. Would you consider Dogman the most dangerous, most covered up cryptid? In a nutshell, probably. But anyway, we'll get to the Q&A at the end, guys. Yeah, so what was I going to say? Yeah, not a big technology guy. We're kind of branching out into the paranormal. And I think as time goes on, you really realize that there's a lot of crossover between some of the cryptid, Bigfoot, Dogman, some of the paranormal world, and even some UFO type stuff going on out there. You know, everything from the cover up to the way that the object or the critter or the being made them feel. It seems like it's kind of, there's a reason why it's kind of all in, hey, from Anaheim. Hey, it's nearby. I was born in Anaheim. So anyway, the video that I put out last week, it was a prologue to a place where I encountered, which I feel is a demonic entity or something that put out a very, super creeped out, evil sense of dread stuff. And tomorrow there's going to be another video coming out, part one to the series about my paranormal experiences. I worked in security. Now, I did go back for those videos and take some footage. I just used my phone. I went there around dusk because I wanted to get some night shots, and it turned out okay. A friend of mine wants to go back so he can film and I can talk, and I want to go to the Chinese zodiac with the Latin symbol thing with all the crazy wires, the thing that was I talked about in that video, and it's in the other videos. And I've got a EMF meter. These things are really cool. Electromagnetic frequency. And went camping this weekend, heard whistles and knocks, nothing else. That was probably them. Anyway, this is just kind of fun when you're out in the woods, especially a haunted house or something. You ask a question like, who are you? What's your name? And this thing will start, it'll start picking up whatever increments it measures in. It also does temperature on there. To be honest, electromagnetic field range, measuring range, it does 0.1 M Gauss to 999 Gauss, and then 0.1 U to 0.99 199 Teslas, whatever that is. All I know is when the number spikes, you get kind of creeped out. I got to look into how it works a little bit more, but I want to go back to some of these haunted areas that I talked about in the video. I used to work there, so I know that the security, they'll kind of come over and be like, what are you doing if you're there for too long? So we'll probably just do sneaky, this in the pocket with just, using my cell phone. And we'll do some EMF readings. The other thing I wanted to talk about, kind of, the other thing for more haunting, paranormal type stuff is it looks tiny. It's really actually very tiny. It looks big when you get it close there, but little digital voice recorder. Yes, you can use your phone, but these are nice because you can leave them somewhere. Take a little micro SD card, and you can do your EVP type recording where you ask questions and maybe you don't hear something, but you play it back. Or these are also good for Sasquatch too. Maybe you're out in the woods and you kind of leave these in a spot and you walk out and see if you can hear something else walk out or mess with it or something else. So digital recorders are cool. So in the one film that I used it in where I got really creeped out, incredibly creeped out in the woods, going to Claudia Ackley's site where she had her encounter. I made a video of it a couple weeks ago with a bunch of people, and I went up by myself and got really spooked, and I had a headache for a week and all that kind of stuff. I think I got zapped by a Bigfoot. But anyway, for equipment, I was using one of these for my GoPro. Now, this is a GoPro 5. I think they're on to 7 now. And this does have image stabilization, and it helps a little bit. But if you're staggering through the woods like I do, the image stabilization helps, but it's really not a lot. So you end up getting one of these gimbals, and the camera sits in here. Turn it on for a second. And it like auto... Hold on. In order for it to work right, it needs a camera in there. It needs the weight to feed back against it. Hold on. Bear with me, folks. By the way, those people are asking questions right now. You guys, if you're talking amongst yourselves, that's fine, but I'm not really paying attention at the moment, obviously. So we'll go through questions later. Hold on, gimbal almost ready. It's called a gimbal. I didn't name it. It's basically, it stabilizes your camera. And here we go. And it's alive. And there's different modes for if you want to lock up and down or side to side. Like if you're going in an ATV or a car or something really bumpy, you can lock the vertical or horizontal access. Or the mode that I was using was 1, 2, 3, 4. It was follow mode, where it just kind of does a general stabilization. And if you move the camera really quick, it kind of does a delay and kind of smooths everything out. And even in this mode, did a really good job. I think I could have gotten ultra smooth video if I would have done one of the other modes where it was locking the vertical a little bit better. And it also has, if you do have it still, it has a little joystick thing here. And you can do the camera up, down, that kind of stuff for ultra stable stuff. And it worked really well. It gave me really stable film. And this was $89 on Amazon, and it got really good reviews. And if you're snowboarding, or because these are this isn't waterproof, but the GoPros, the 5s and on up are built-in waterproof. You can see it as I'm turning it. It's like fighting me to like stay still. It's kind of funny. Then you double click this, and it recenters itself. And you can calibrate it to kind of whatever, to kind of stay even. But right now it's kind of like in a follow mode. So it worked very cool, but what I noticed when I played it back is there was a humming noise the whole time, because this has a built-in microphone. I believe it's right here. I believe the microphone's on this side. And total insanity, very active. Yes, we're going to talk about that more a little bit later. So I thought maybe because you could set this up with this part here or there or whatever. And no, I had the microphone as far away from the device as I could get it, but there was still a humming sound on the track. And it was quite annoying. And a lot of people commented on it. And when you're talking about Bigfoot and infrasound, where you're trying to listen to knocks and stuff like that, the sound's very important. And GoPros are cool because they're waterproof, they're cheap and relatively inexpensive, as opposed to like $1,000 Sony Handycam or something. Um, ack. I don't know what you mean by ack. Uh, momentary buffering. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm like 5 feet from my Wi-Fi router, but it does kind of suck. They all kind of suck. I'd assume that the hum will at least make them look over. Well, here's the thing. When I first used this, I was running around the house with it. This gimbal. Let's get it on a little different mode, just so you guys. One? Yeah. See? On one, it's like full. No matter what you do, it's going to like. It's watching you. It's kind of cool. And then you can use the joystick to move it. But that's if you're like going behind something really bumpy. But anyway, like even right now, I can't hear any motors humming or anything. It seems dead silent. And when I was testing it, it seems dead silent, but somehow on across the recording, there's humming sound, and that's not good for the type of work that we're doing. If I was shooting B-roll, like we were hanging off the side of an ATV or mountain biking or out of the side of a car or flying over in a helicopter, this would be fabulous. Fabulous because it would give you stable film, and we're not using the audio anyway in some of those with some of those type encounters. But so, because before this gimbal thing, just turned it. Let's see, we turn it off. It's gonna die here. I was using one of these. It's a floating handle, and I just bought it because it's a handle. And your GoPro goes in here, and it's nice because it's completely waterproof. The handle floats for boats or whatever, but you're at the mercy for how stable you are, and it gives you a pretty good foam area. But if you brush this bottom of this plastic here or this plastic here, you get this tunk annoying scratching sounds that come through that microphone again. And there's just so much hard plastic. And I have another grip that had like a rubber handle, and it was even worse. And this is the official GoPro one. So yeah, I think I'm going to have to just go back to these because the audio quality is so much better and go really slow. GoPro does have a trade-up program. The Hero 7, the newest GoPro, they look just like this old one. I might eBay this guy, or they have a trade-in. And the Hero 7, like I might return this gimbal. I still have the box. I got it on Amazon. Sell this GoPro. Keep the SD card, so I don't have to buy another one. And keep this for boating or water works, which I doubt will happen, but whatever. It's nice to have a floating handle. Because the new GoPro 7s have really good image stabilization. They're so good that you don't need a gimbal. Now, I will say the GoPros are cool, but they're almost gimmicky that you can't really use an external microphone that I've ever seen. It's nice to have Bluetooth, so there's no cords or anything, and you can sync it to your phone if you want to, put this on your phone and then upload it to YouTube. Aqua Squatch. There are stories of that. We can talk about that some other time. Yeah, so the Hero 7 is supposed to have really super good stabilization, but they come out with a new one every couple of years, and it's waterproof and everything as well. The only thing that's really funny if you get a GoPro for the first time, and they have like hat clips and chest clips and suction cup mounts, and you do all kinds of crap with them. Put them on your helmet, whatever you want to do. Well, I've discussed it before. I'm using this microphone thing because if I put the iPad far enough away to where I'm not like staring at you guys, then you can barely hear me with the microphone, and this is just easier to hear me. And I know I look goofy, but I look goofy without it. So yeah, I'm debating, do I just get rid of send the gimbal back, get my money back, sell this? I have an older GoPro, like a Hero 3, that I got for free. And do I sell both of them and just go for the Hero 7 with the really good image stabilization and just use something like this? I don't know. So I'm still kind of considering. I'm also considering maybe ditching the GoPros altogether, or maybe keeping this GoPro for... They're nice because you can clip them to a hat or tree or side of a car or leave them behind, and they're waterproof and durable. But maybe selling this gimbal, selling my older GoPro, and maybe getting like an actual handheld camera, like a nice, I don't even know, I got to do research, like a Sony or whoever makes a good one with image stabilization. Some of them have a night mode. I bought one off of Amazon for a couple $100 and it got good reviews. And it took pretty good video. It had good image stabilization. It was light. but it had a night mode, and all it was two little LEDs came on. And I tried it in the bathroom in pitch black. I tried it outside with some ambient lighting at night, and and I couldn't tell the damn difference. And if I'm going to spend that much money on a handheld camera, some of them have really good night vision modes. So, yeah, that's kind of where we are with the equipment. Anyway, I want to go back to the haunted place. Also, Bigfooting. There's been some nights where my buddy Brian and I should have filmed it. I get so burned out at the end of the day, and we're kind of drunk and stuff like that because we've been out hiking and stuff all day long, and we're playing poker and have a few beers and some Jim Beam or something, and I just forget to record, or probably embarrassing anyway. But yeah, we'll put this out on the porch and we'll just kind of sit around, and the crickets will go quiet for a second, and I wonder if anything's out there, and the meter will spike, and we're like, oh, cool. So, but I got to figure out what, because it does Gauss and Tesla. It's some kind of electromagnetic frequency range, but I have no idea. I was an engineer for years, and I don't even know what the hell that stuff means. So yeah, anyway, does Matt Squatch grease his bobcat? Wow. That wasn't a bobcat, it was a regular cat. No, I don't grease my cat. He's back, and I didn't get another notification. It's funny, because that's a huge complaint with YouTube right now. I guess the equipment section's over. I'll do a little more ranting. And, oh yeah, one thing about GoPros, that's what I was going to say, is first time you fire it up, and it's got this little touch screen. You can edit all this different stuff and different panoramic modes and everything. And you're like, well, 4 hours and 50 minutes, you put a 120 gig chip in there or whatever. A full 1080p, 60 frames a second, or 120 frames a second, 1080p, ultra wide, high definition, but the battery lasts you 40 minutes. So that's always kind of that's always been kind of the joke with a GoPro is the batteries, Oh yeah, and by the way, this doesn't work with a Samsung charger. They changed it from my 3 to my 4, so I have to have 2 different chargers. They change what the charging port is every couple years. And so GoPros does, it's almost a gimmick, but not quite a gimmick. They really do work, and they have their place. So, yeah, but anyway, that's just it with GoPros. Everybody on YouTube uses GoPros at one point or another. But I'm seriously thinking of maybe selling some stuff and consolidating some stuff and maybe getting like a nice handheld camera. Can you talk about the Florida skunk ape? We really want to know since I'm from here. Since you're from, I would really want to know. So hello, everybody. Sarah. So the skunk ape. So there are 2 things going on with the skunk ape in Florida. So a lot of people report in Florida when it comes to a skunk ape, a pretty what you would expect to call a Bigfoot. 6, 7, 8 foot tall, 9 foot tall, hairy, bipedal beast. We've talked a lot about on this channel in different varieties. And in Florida, you seem to get like the wood booger, the more southern, the little more chimp-like looking, easily excitable type of Sasquatch. And then people report something that looks like a big, overgrown, 7 foot tall orangutan with the real wide, flat face and kind of the teeth, very orangutan looking, with orange hair that doesn't fit into what anybody else is seeing. Go check out the Mayaka skunk ape photos. I believe they're from 2001. Thanks, ignored but not boring. Thanks for not ignoring me. I had a thought. The Florida skunk ape isn't a member of the Sasquatch family, but a surviving Gigantopithecus. That very well could be. Anyway, we're getting to the Q&A part for the people that aren't listening or don't care. Anyway, the Miyaka skunk ape photos. You can search it. That way. They're really compelling. They're very cool. I've done whole videos on it in the past. It's going to be featured in another upcoming video when I'm talking about higher quality Bigfoot evidence. And at first you think it's an orangutan until you realize the whole story. And hey, Mogion Monster, hi. Welcome to the show. Foxy, hello. I grew up on hair. Yeah, that was for actually, let's see if I can find it. Go back. Where was it? It was my nephew's birthday today, so I sent that to him. He just turned 7, so it's happy birthday. Funny story about that. I was scrolling through my phone, and he says, "What's this picture?" And my sister-in-law, Lisa, says, that's your Uncle Matt. This was a couple years ago. Ty looks at me and he's like, you were a monster? I said, yeah, buddy, that's before I got a haircut and shaved. And he's looking at Harry and he's looking at me and he's like, okay. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I do not look that much like a Bigfoot. Really disrespectful. I was about to be really rude and disrespectful for no reason. Then I saw your channel is about paranormal stuff and my views changed dramatically. Much love, brother. Oh, well, thank you. That's your Uncle Matt. Yeah, I'm uncle to many, lots of nieces and nephews. Also a dad, husband, father, son. Been taking care of my dad a lot lately. I'll get into that some other time when he's completely over it. But one of the two main reasons why I haven't put out monstrously, like I'd like to do 2 or 3 or 4 videos a week, but I've been putting out between 1 and 2 is just a lot of family stuff going on right now. Taking care of my dad. He's got a pretty big illness, but he's doing well. He's doing better. And my daughter turned 3 and I'm the primary caregiver for her, and just a bunch of other stuff going on in life, and it's all kind of piling up at once. So, I mean, videos, I still try to get 1 or 2 out a week when I can sneak them in. The best part about live streams is I don't have to sit down and edit for hours and do voiceovers and all that. We can just come on here and have fun. So, yes, anyway, to answer that, there's really something going on in Florida. I believe it's Mark Zaski. He's a big skunk ape researcher down in Florida. There's 2 or 3 guys that really specialize in Florida. And, the Florida skunk ape thing. I have family in Florida. I'd love to go back and visit and maybe take off in a rental car and go see the swamp. Don't get eaten by alligator. Anyway, so let's look at some questions here. Anybody got some questions? Also, a lot of eyewitness reports around the Everglades. Yeah, they're all over, from the foresty areas to the swampy areas. The amount of invasive species, the ecosystem is probably creating all kinds of monsters. Yeah, that's very true. With all the pythons, just water tonight, folks. The feral hogs and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, there's plenty of things for Sasquatch to eat and everything else. You all know it's T3RB Astral being stored at Edwards Air Force Base. Yeah. The orang pendek from Sumatra. Yeah, the orang pendek might have some kind of a relation to Florida. I mean, that's a long way away from each other, kind of on the other sides of the planet. But they might have some kind of relation, or divergent evolution, divergent creation, genetic manipulation, captured and let go. I don't know. What do you think about the Yeti in the Himalayas? Well, it's the largest mountain range on Earth, and there's tens of thousands of miles that have only ever been flown over. So, hell yeah, there's some kind of a Bigfoot creature called a Yeti there. And the natives think it, and they have different words for bears and everything else. But I just think, like, all over the place, people see these things, and why wouldn't they be there? And the number one misconception most people have with the Yetis is they think they picture like Mount Everest, just this desolate, white-capped, nothing around mountains. And I'm sure they do cross over those from time to time and go up there to get to another range. No, they're going to be down in the valleys, lower down, where there's actual trees and plant life and food and game. So, had an account. Okay, let's go back here. Have Bigfoot been known to mess with bicycles? Not bicycles specifically. I've heard of them messing with motorcycles and cars. But I wouldn't be surprised if I left my bike at a trailhead or something, turned on its side this way and it was the other way, or turned upside down or on the other side of the road, or broken or something, or really bent a wheel. Like, well, what the hell would bend a wheel? It wouldn't surprise me. Bigfoots they're quite wily. Greetings from Michigan. Hello. Do you ever cover sleep paralysis? Now, sleep paralysis is one of those areas where I think there's a real paranormal condition going on there, and it's a real medical condition. And at what levels of consciousness come over, and being gripped with fear, and when you're in twilight sleep, when you're kind of half in, half out. I mean, I've had dreams where I'm in bed, and there's been like a snake coming out of the window coming into bed, and I wake up screaming in bed, but I realize there's no snake, or spiders. I've had weird stuff like that. I don't say I've ever had sleep paralysis per se, but I know what it is. It's very, very interesting, especially when you hear stories of more demonic things and shadow people, the shadow folk, shadow people thing, like the Hat Man thing people see, and like the rake and the incubus and succubus and these things that come in the middle of the night and can, or the banshee or whatever it is that comes in. Anyway, I've never had sleep paralysis. I literally tried so hard to get it. I even went to YouTube and got instructions from an hour-long videos on nights years ago. It never worked. I think some people are just wired a little differently. Do you ever watch Destination Truth? Yes. Destination Truth, the old series. He now does... Oh, I forget Josh Gates' new series. I don't have cable. We stream everything, and we don't watch much TV. But I used to love the old Destination Truth 10, 12 years ago. He found some crazy stuff, and he would go out in the woods. He's a brave guy, and there's some of like mountain monsters and the Alaska bush people or Alaska monster hunters and the ones down south, and they're such scripted jokes, I hate to say. I spot so many problems with them. But what I liked about Josh Gates and his team is he took it seriously. He did one paranormal encounter, one cryptid encounter, and sometimes like the Doll Island. Oh my God, on Destination Crypt, that Doll Island one really freaked me out more than anything else. But there were some of them where there was like the UFO one down in South America where he found a little baby skull, and then where he found a Yeti print in Nepal. Yeah, that was such a great series. And I think what's his new one? It's not Destination Truth. It's Destination Unknown, something like that. It's kind of the same thing, a little bit different, where he goes around solving mysteries. I love Josh Gates. I wish I could be his wish I could be a sidekick or do what he does for a living or something like that. But I don't have those connections right now. Wish I did. I had sleep paralysis 3 times last month. Ooh, scary. I didn't see anything but was facing the wall. Felt major negativity and felt like it needed to turn around but couldn't. So when science tells me that it's all in your head, this fear reaction, it's all brains and it's all releasing of chemicals, and there's nothing really gone, there's nothing paranormal, it almost seems like kind of a cop-out answer with sleep paralysis. Now, there might be a real medical condition, but like I said, where that line gets drawn, I just don't know. Expedition Unknown, that's what it is. Josh Gates, kind of funny, Josh Gates finds a print and it goes mainstream. One of us finds a print and we're crazy. Yeah, I know. That's the mainstream media. They suck. Don't watch mainstream media. Would you consider Bigfoot? Hey, this guy, Voltron here, he fires the big guns here on questions. Would you consider Bigfoot more of an animal or human? Do you think... did something I didn't want to do there. If you do you think we can ever coexist? Well, I think we're coexisting now. Kind of pretentiously, but I think if you mean only because the vast majority of the population doesn't think Bigfoot even exists. But if you mean coexist, like we know they're there, we know we're here, and we leave them alone, they leave us alone, and if one of them's in trouble, we would help them, and one of us in trouble, we'd help them, but we separate. Yeah, a lot of Native American tribes had that relationship. Some of them had negative relationships. Some of them had indifferent relationships with Sasquatch. So I think it's very possible to have a neutral or positive relation with Sasquatch, but I think the policy would be like any other creature or any other tribe of people. It would just be very distant politeness, and I wouldn't try to feed them or leave them offerings or anything like that. I would just stay out of their way and they stay out of your way. But yeah, to answer your question, I do consider them, and my opinion's changed. I used to think they were apes, closer to animals, and it's changed over the last few years. I think they're human. I think they're very close to human. A lot of stuff I've heard, reports of people who've shot them or people who've seen them up close. And yeah, I think they're, well, all the native tribes called them a tribe of people. They knew what animals were, and they didn't think they were animals. Not that they're necessarily human like you and me, but they are very close. Let's see. Not a Sasquatch question, but what do you think about river monsters, Loch Ness monsters? I did a video about lake and river monsters a while back where I kind of said I thought they were kind of more BS. But now that my world has been opened up a lot more, I think there's something to it, especially big old, like Loch Ness monsters. Loch Ness is huge. Like Lake Champlain and Champ, some of those other monsters, I think people are really seeing something. I think in the deep, dark depths, some unidentified creature. If we have strange phenomenon that people are seeing in the woods, and 70% of this planet is water, there's going to be strange phenomenon in the water too, whether they're coming from another dimension, whether they're supernatural, whether there's some undiscovered species. Who knows? But yeah, I'm very open to it. Let's see. Are there stories in Alaska about troubles with Sasquatch? Yeah, there are. I went to Alaska last year to visit my sister, and we looked all around, and I saw no Sasquatch signs. There are reports, and they are up there. It's such a long, cold winter that I think they're there, but not that many of them. And I think that they know where to go, and I think they know where to hide, and I think they know how to store food and fruits and veggies for the winter. And it's got to be really tough for them, even compared to Montana and some of the other places, because you got to go a long way from Alaska to get someplace that's even remotely nice for the winter, versus I think in the lower 48 it could be freezing cold in the mountains, but still pleasant down below. So I think they're in Alaska. I just think it's really tough for them. Okay. Mr. Mesquatch, we meet again. Even with the proven fake photos of Nessie, yeah, that doesn't mean anything. There's a lot of fake photos of everything. They still get a couple dozen reports every year of something unidentified in lakes. It's all right. Basically an offshoot in evolution. I saw a dog man while I was down in the sewers. Stay out of sewers. You can get really nasty infections. Make sure you have your hepatitis shots, A and B. I lived down in them, and the whole time I was strolling through dump canals looking for coins and jewelry, the dog man charged and nearly killed me. Well, that's yet another reason to stay out of the sewers, I guess. Take away a man's weapon, and they're the same level as a wild boar on the food chain. Yeah, it's not hard for us to pick up a stick or a rock at the very bare minimum. Yeah, but that's what makes us so deadly is, physicality. 100-pound deer can kick your ass. There's videos of people getting thumped by a mule deer. But yeah, that's what makes us. It's all about our mind. Ever wonder if they're a large sturgeon? Oh yeah, sturgeon and introduced species and stuff like the alligator gar, that kind of stuff. Really wild, scary stuff. Maybe in a pond, or they swam upstream and got stranded flooded out, and they swam somewhere, then it shrunk down to a pond, and now they're stuck, and now you have a monster in a pond. Let's see. At Matt Squash, considering the duration of screams and howls, how long do you think a Sasquatch could hold its breath? They're big animals, so there's a lot of oxygen that they're going to have to exchange, but such huge lung capacity. I mean, that, and I guess they're mostly muscle, so they would probably sink more than they would float, so they'd probably be fairly good swimmers. Yeah, they could probably stay down 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I have no idea. If they were just efficiently swimming and naturally sinking, they could probably swim to an underground cave and come up in a dry spot. That's where most of the reports are. Dive on one end of the lake and stay down for 10 or 15 minutes, come up for a quick breath of air and go back down. I mean, you got to think they're the size of like a walrus or a large sea lion or something, although they're not built to swim like those guys. Good to see your channel blowing up. Yeah, it blew up for a while, and then it kind of calmed down, but that's completely my fault. YouTube is a 100%, I'm petting the cat, sorry, quantity-based, not quality-based. If you want to grow your channel, just dump all sorts of videos out. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad or whatever. So it's always a balance of trying to put out content, trying it to be quality, and trying to get enough to get your Google algorithm up there. So yeah, the YouTube growth thing, it's either here or there, and I've been doing this for 2 years now, and I can't make any sense of it after all these 2 years. Is there a reason why so hard to capture these cryptids on footage? Yeah, there's many reasons. I always tell the story of years ago. I was out tree knocking in the woods, and I tree knocked, and I heard something, 40 yards, not even that far, start tromping around in a leaf litter, and my heart started racing, and I looked up at it, and it was a doe mule deer. Looked around this tree and started twitching its tail and browsing through, and was kind of looking over at me like, why'd you knock on that tree? So I took a picture of him. I mean, I could see the white in its ears, the black of its eyes, its mouth chewing. I took a picture of it with an iPhone, a fairly new iPhone. You could not even see the damn thing. It just looked like a blob, like part of the background rock. So I think it's harder than you think. I think most people don't have a camera ready. And I think if anybody ever has any really good footage, I think there's somebody suppressing it. So those are just some of the reasons. Why don't people use trackers on Bigfoot? If you can tranquilize one and put a tracker on them, go for it. They're pretty smart, though. They're not like a pig or a mountain lion that'll just be like, oh, I got this thing on my neck. I'm pretty sure they would. Oh, brown dwarf, good. Good to see you, buddy. Get in here and regulate. Some of those comments are not so great in there. Thanks, buddy. As my mod, brown dwarf. But who's modding brown? Anyway. Matt, would you please email Bob Gimlin and ask him what his next video will drop? Well, here's the thing about Bob Gimlin, the YouTube channel Bob Gimlin, not Bob Gimlin, Bluff Creek Bob Gimlin, Gimlin with a Y. He emailed me a while back, and we talked about YouTube and a few things. He's a pretty cool guy. He has a Patreon, and he probably had all the frustrations that I had with YouTube and everything else, and he went over to Patreon, and I think he puts out a couple videos here and there, and I think he puts out a video once a month or something on YouTube, just because he does. He gets all of his artwork hand drawn, and I think he works full time. And then I think with the Patreon, and I think with his YouTube, and waiting for an artist and paying an artist to hand draw all of the recreations and stuff that he does, I think he's very slow on output, which is understandable because his quality is amazing. But yeah, Bob Gimlin, I don't know when his next video is coming out. I love his stuff. If I had more money and more time and more gumption, I would probably subscribe to his Patreon. I've considered doing a Patreon, and it's never out of the question. But if I get, hi Matt, this is Bill, your mom's friend's Pat's son. Oh, hi. Nice to meet you, Bill. I heard you're a big fan. Through my mom or wherever, I think she gave you a t-shirt. Make sure you get the t-shirt. I got some of the original run t-shirts left. By the way, if you guys want to buy a t-shirt, you can in Teespring, which is linked through YouTube, and that's one way to support the channel that you actually get something out of besides watching content. Also give the videos thumbs up, subscribe, all that stuff to support me. Brown Dwarf Matt Hart. Oh, Eureka, Cali or Eureka, Alaska? I don't know what that. It must be responding to somebody else's questions. I'm watching in a bar in Eureka. Oh, Brown Dwarf is definitely in Eureka, California. Let's see here. Are there cryptid stories from World War I? I haven't heard any from World War I. I've heard of World War II. Some of the pilots saw trolls and stuff like that, and I've heard that some of them deep back in the woods of Germany saw things at night. Very few and far between, though. Back then, those were real men, and they just shot them. I also heard that. The famous one is in Vietnam with the rock apes, where they had a lot of Marines and soldiers going deep in the bush to go flush out the Viet Cong and all that stuff. And, this smaller 5, 6, 7 foot tall Bigfoot-like creature would come out beating its chest and hooting at him and throwing rocks and stuff at him. And the soldiers were like, what in the hell is that? So, yeah. I should do a whole video on Bigfoot war stories. I'm going to have to look them up. That's a good idea. Where's my notepad? Email me that. I'm going to forget it if you don't. Do you think some Sasquatches have tracking device from the government? Yes. I don't know if they even need trackers because they can tell through heat signatures in the bush from satellites even. They can look from a satellite and pick up the heat signature, and they can tell the difference between a deer or a bear. They can tell just from the mass of something going through the bushes from the heat signature that it's 600 or 700 pounds. And in California, that's no bear. And I'm sure they can tell if it's upright and everything else. So they probably don't even need to put trackers in them, although I wouldn't doubt that they could do that too. Extremely hypothetical question. Yeah, ever seen those chimpanzee sanctuaries in Tennessee and Alabama? What if Sasquatch stumbles across one of those? What do you think its reaction would be? It'd be a Planet of the Apes. It would be like the Indian with the tear, Yeah, I don't know. I think it would might be, as human as they are, they might be as fascinated with chimpanzees as they are with us. I know there's one in Arizona too, where there's a bunch of like HIV positive and hepatitis A and B positive chimpanzees. It was a research site that closed, but chimpanzees live a long time, so they're still living out there. Do you think Sasquatch is tracking? Do I already answered that? I know I'm behind on questions. I've had sleep paralysis a number of times throughout the years, but no such these days. You don't want them. Yeah, I really don't want them either. I've never had them. I've had strange dreams where I'm laying in bed, so I think I'm really awake, and big spiders are landing on me, or a snake crawls under the covers, and I flip the covers up, and I go, freak out. And my wife freaks out, and she's like, "You're having one of those dreams again. You were watching scary YouTube videos in bed." And I'm like, "Honey, it's what I do for a living. You were watching scary movies again." I'm like, "Yes." She's like, "Go watch something funny and come back to bed." "Yes, ma'am." So, have you ever seen a Sasquatch up close? I have not. I almost kind of don't want to, from what I hear. I work with a Vietnamese guy. He's seen the rock apes. Well, very cool. If he wants to talk about it, I'd love to get his impressions in an email or something. Pilots in World War I talk about gremlins in their planes. Interesting stuff. Yeah, you think Sasquatch is mainly defensive or aggressive? I think mainly defensive. But like all things, they're just rogues and bad ones and ones that are tired of our shit. So the whole thing about gremlins and fairies and gnomes and the pugwudgies of the Bigfoot world, this little people thing is very fascinating to me. And I used to not know what to think of it. And there are some really out there stuff, like you see something out of the corner of your eye, or you see something run into the bushes that looked upright. I can't believe I'm going to share this with you guys, but not too long ago, I thought I was losing my mind. My daughter and I were near the house, and we were walking along the road, and there was a planter with a pretty big bush in it. And I'm guessing it was a rat. It had to have been a rat or a bird. But it looked upright, and it looked like it was about 7 or 8 inches tall, but it looked like a little brown person ran in there. But I had to have just surprised a rat or a raccoon or a possum. Then, or gremlin, or fairy, or whatever you want to call it. But I'm sure, just logically, I'm sure it was a rat. Then the next day in that same area, our neighbors lost their keys. They were out by the pool, right in the same area, like 15 feet away from where I saw this thing. And they had like their keys on the bench, and their kids were swimming. And when they got up to go back in the house, the keys were gone. Like a set of car keys with house keys on it, gone. And they looked in the trash can in case they threw it away, and in the pool, and in the bushes, gone. And I'm almost like, maybe some of those little stories about gremlins and trolls and goblins and mischiefs are real. Maybe they're not. Maybe they just lost their keys and I saw a damn rat. But it kind of made me think, like, you hear stories about them being mischievous and stealing things, and I was just like, it made me think for a second, like, possibly folklore have talked about these little people and creatures for a long, long time. I can't say what it was that I saw exactly. It looked like an upright walking rat, like Splinter, I guess. But I mean, it was just this brown thing for a second that was upright that ran into these bushes. And I was just like, what in the hell was that? I mean, even here in Tustin, it wasn't a squirrel, but we have squirrels, we have possums, we have raccoons, we have coyotes, we have cats and dogs and everything else. So, I mean, it could have been we've even seen bobcats here occasionally. So it could have been a number of things, but it was just like, the keys are missing like 2 days later. It was like something strange, The other thing is, I think paranormal is all around us. I think strange stuff happens all the time, whether you call it synchronicity, coincidences. Like how often both my cats will just randomly be staring in a corner of the house. And when my daughter was a baby, she'd stop playing and just like stare at a corner. And I'd look and both my cats are staring. And I'd be like, looking, there's nothing there, but I almost felt like being watched. I'm like, okay, what are you three looking at? Anyway, just stuff like that, that you can shove off and sleep a little better at night and just kind of dismiss that there was a bug there that they saw and I didn't. But it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder if they're seeing something you're not. Bob Lazar was analyzed by a professional who detects lying and passes blind card. Oh, I 100% believe Bob Lazar. He's an odd guy. What's your advice on gifting? Matt Squatch presents T-shirts make good gifts. If you're going to gift to a Sasquatch, don't do it on your property or your house. If you got to drive 45 minutes to a trailhead and hike for another 2 hours to an area they are, and you want to establish some kind of relationship with them, you leave them something, and then maybe they leave you something, and you can get there. That would be okay. I still don't recommend it. Gifting, like beads or trinkets or a small mirror or something. I wouldn't give them food. Um, yeah, but don't do it on your property. I think you're inviting trouble. Red hats mean they kill you. Brian Sullivan had a Pugwudgie story recently. It's crazy. It tried to grab a baby. Yeah, I saw that. I started listening to it, but I ran out of time. Yeah, it's crazy. You hear all sorts of stories about that. Like in Sasquatch Chronicles, there was a young black kid that was on there that told about growing up in the South, and a Bigfoot tried to like carry off his sister, and his mom came out and beat the Sasquatch over the head with like a rake that they had around the house, and dropped his sister and ran out in the woods. And they're just like, these big hairy things are trying to abduct us. So I mean, it does happen. What the Pugwudgie's going to do with the baby? I'd like to think that they were going to do like the White Walker thing, where they were going to turn him into one of them and not eat the baby or something. That's terrible. But who knows? It's very strange. Well, Kelly Amembe or whatever is super interesting to me. The dude who does the expeditions, uploads the vintage docs is awesome. Yes. Do you think the government's covering up aliens? Yes. Is it true? I give it 10 Bigfoots easy. Okay. Let me go back here. I think I'm missing some stuff. I've seen the running rat. Yes, it was about 10. I've seen the rat running upright. It was about 8 or 10 inches tall. That very well could have been what it was. I didn't see a nose, though. It looked just like a little brown human in a fur coat just scurry off. And I was like, I didn't see a tail. I didn't see the pointy nose. But, I mean, it could have been tailless cat. I mean, it was just strange. And then a day later, really nearby, to have missing keys. Very strange. Very strange. Heard a story about a dog getting in a fight with a bear in someone's yard, and the bear scared off the dog man. I think if you had a really big bear, it could probably a bigger bear and a younger dog man. The dog man would probably just be like, this ain't worth it. But if it's a fully grown alpha dog man, even the biggest black bear, it could probably just tear up easy. Especially if it's a grizzly bear. You know, I don't see them messing with grizzly bears. I think they would just steer clear of each other, unless it was really hungry or something. I don't know. What do you think about the dinosaur or pterodactyl sightings in Papua New Guinea? I think the bipedal dinosaurs, my theory on it is a little out there. So is everything about me. Is that I think they're looking into time. They're looking into some kind of portal. Or you know how in huntings, this is when I say about, Bigfoot's real, but ghosts are bullshit and aliens are bullshit. This is when the cross study comes into effect. Is in the paranormal world, the ghost hunting, there's a residual haunting. Every night at 10, the old lady goes down the hallway. No matter who's there or what's going on, this image of an old lady goes down a hallway. Or every night you smell cigar smoke and you hear the walking of the old man that died. You know, that's like a residual haunting. And I think maybe some of the dinosaurs they're seeing might be residual energy. You might be seeing into another dimension or into another time. It could be a paranormal creature making you hallucinate that you're seeing it. Anyway, that's kind of my theory. Is I think it's something similar to like a residual haunting. The molecular embase of dinosaurs still may exist in Africa. Yeah, I've heard about that. That's fascinating. I think it's like a lot of these other things. It could just be coming through portals from different times. Let's see here. I'm going back to the questions. Love the stories Sasquatch saved kids or something, like they got lost in the woods. Yeah, there's a number of them. I think Sasquatch saves kids more because they don't want a bunch of people showing up looking for the kid. I think it's more out of self-preservation than being a kind heart. But they could just really care too. See a young anything in distress. But I think it's also like, shit, if this kid goes missing or dies out here, there's going to be a bunch of people with guns looking for him. I better bring him back. Sorry, my phone went off. Let's see. I have a question about missing 411 cases. Most of the missing cases, someone goes missing after a storm and a storm follows. Is that so the government is covering it up, or do you know Bigfoot storm is coming and takes a kid? They might be able to sense a drop in barometric pressure. If it's cloudy out and they feel a drop in barometric pressure because they're more sensitive to it than we are, maybe they could short-term predict a storm. If you want to get into the government can engineer weather, or it's just the way the universe works, or there are some things we just don't understand, I think is missing 411. And by the way, I've said it before, I think a very small percentage, 10, 15%, 20%, does a Bigfoot or a dogman make a good suspect for missing 411 cases. Some cases, I think they're a dead ringer suspect. A lot of the cases, the majority of them, I don't think it's Bigfoot or dogman. But I think it's definitely a myriad of things going on. Hey, Matt, go watch How to Hunt channel on YouTube. Guy has stories, professional game tracker. I do watch How to Hunt, by the way. I think he's great. I really do. I like how he's really just no nonsense about him. He seems like a guy. I don't have enough time to watch everything I want to watch. You know, I wish I had like an office I could check in at like 7 a.m. and leave at 5 a.m. every day, where all I could do was make videos and watch other videos and write things down and do professional voice recording and really do all this kind of stuff. But I don't have the time for it anymore, guys. But yes, I do watch How to Hunt occasionally. Cat's bothering me again. I won't pick her up though. Do you think creatures can come through a spiritual veil or whatever? Spiritual veil or through portals or vortexes or vortices or whatever you want to call them, or they're dropped off, or they have some way of manipulating the way we see them through vibrational frequencies. I don't know. I have changes all the time and I get new information, and as soon as I think I got it kind of figured out about why these creatures have such a paranormal aspect to them, my opinion changes, to be quite honest. I know it's kind of a cop-out answer. But yes, definitely. They definitely have, something along the lines of interdimensionalism, being able to have unnatural, as we would call it, ability. Let's see here. Let's go back. Dustin Clark. Hey, Dustin. Nice to see you, buddy. When's season 3 happening? Did you think the Jersey Devil? I think it's a demon. I think it's something along the same lines as like the Mothman. Some kind of demon or omen or some kind of extra dimensional creature like we were discussing. Maybe something demonic. I should do a whole video on the Jersey Devil. It's a good idea. Because there's really, I think you get to a certain point where it's like you have Bigfoot, you have Dogman, then you have like Jersey Devil and Mothman, and I think you have undiscovered creature and paranormal. And I think you start really, like it's a spectrum, you start really getting off into the paranormal end with some of that stuff. I saw something about a mountain giant back then. I think they're giants of old, like biblical giants. Okay. Okay, let's see, go back here. Wow. All right. I got to go back. There's so much coming at me here now, guys. I appreciate the questions, but I don't get to everybody. I'm sorry. There is that super chat thing where you guys can buy to have your question promoted. You don't need to do. It's great if you do. I always appreciate the money because it helps the channel, but don't feel obligated. I try to get to people as I can. What do you think of the population numbers are in Claudia Ackley's area? I think there's a family unit in Claudia Ackley's area. Maybe a mom and a dad and a couple, 3 subadults and maybe an uncle or aunt or something like that. I think there's a family group there, a clan, whatever you want to call it. There might, it's a big mountain range once you look at Crestline, Arrowhead, Arrow Bear, Running Springs, Foreskin, Fawnskin, Big Bear Lake. So I'm sure there's multiple clans up there. D-Train, Dustin Clark, yep. The crazy world, all things sound credible. Yes, it does. Too bad there are no more short-faced bears, 14-foot tall, standing upright, fully carnivorous. Yeah, they were kind of like an overgrown polar bear for the more temperate regions. What state park has the most cryptid sightings? I don't know about state park. Maybe State Park in California, Anza Borrego. National park would probably have to be Sequoia, maybe Olympic Park up there in Oregon, Crater Lake area, Sequoia, Kings Canyon, Yosemite. Some of those, it would be hard pressed. Hey guys, help me decide: steak, chicken, or pork for dinner? Steak. You gotta get that cast iron pan really hot, a little bit of high temp oil, a little bit of salt and pepper, garlic powder, Let it come up to room temperature. It's very important. Sear it 2 minutes on each side, and then put a stick of butter in there with some herbs and do a slow baste with the butter to cook it through. Put it on a cutting board, let it rest, dump all the oil, herb over the top, let it soak in, come back about 10 minutes later when it's rested. Perfect. That's how I cook a steak, inside. Where around Portland, Oregon should I go to see Bigfoot? Oh, that's a very good question. I don't know Portland. I don't know Oregon that well. Damn it, I wish I had it. Thank you for the super chat. I know Oregon is like probably top 5 for the Bigfoot sightings. I would go into BFRO website. I know they suck, but go to the BFRO website, find the county with the most sightings, and then see what's going on there. To be honest, I don't think you need to go very far. If you got a patch of woods near you or a hiking trail or maybe a city park or some farmland that abuts a national forest, just go there. You're just going to have to scout around and find it. And just because one area is really active in May doesn't mean it's going to be really active in July. It means it's going to be really active in October. So it's really hard to judge. Like in the Sierras where we are, certain times of year, they're up there. You know they're up there. And other times of years, there's not a sign or a trace of them around. I think they do migrate. So you're just going to have to get out there and look. I'm sorry, I don't have a straightforward answer for you. Does Sasquatch have groups? Yes, I think they're family units. Troops, like monkeys, but not monkeys. Family groups. Pods? Anyway. What's your take on the melon heads in the Blackwoods, New York? I don't know. I really don't know much about it. I've heard preposterous hypothesis, pizza with bacon, ham, and pineapple. Now, a lot of people don't like pineapple on pizza, and I get where they're coming from. I don't like all Hawaiian pizza, but if you go to BJ's Deep Dish Pizza, they have the sweet pig. That's amazing. I don't mind pineapple on pizza. Some people hate it and think it's a travesty. I don't think it's the biggest travesty as putting mayo on a hot dog. But it's a free country. You put whatever you want on your damn pizza or your hot dog, pretty much. I like the occasional Hawaiian pizza. The thing with a Hawaiian pizza, like I want a slice, but I don't like eat like 3 or 4 slices of it. Like pizza, like a pepperoni or like a veggie pizza. I even like veggie pizza, believe it or not. Where I feel like I could chow down on 3 or 4 slices. Like the Canadian bacon, the Hawaiian pizzas sound good, but I always just want like a slice. Anyway, do you believe in mermaids? I've heard stories about people who lived and claim they've seen them, supposedly hideous. They climb in and take you to enslave you. I don't know about all that, but I do believe in mermaids. I do believe in. There's so many things we could talk about. Hey, Matt Squatch, Ricky, aka Purple Hobbit. Miss you on Lady of the Woods chats. Yeah, Lady of the Woods and Woodbugger Farm and Brown Dwarf and some of the other guys, the BDRP. I just don't have time. I honestly don't. We got to put my daughter to bed around 8:30, and we're cooking dinner and we're spending time together. And by the time I put her to bed and take a shower and get everything ready for the next day, I'm in bed, and most of the chats are at night. Oh, hello, Erin Noel. She's a big fan of mine. I like that lady. She's from my neighborhood. She's actually like a couple cities over, which is the equivalent to like a few miles away in Southern California, because it's one big giant city, essentially. Shots fired. Hey, Matt, do you think... Okay, let's go here. I don't eat red meat. Oh, like I said, it's a free country. Great stream, Matt Squatch. Mushrooms too. Don't forget the donuts afterwards. Oh, pizza and donuts and like a beer, and then watch like Archer reruns or something. Oh yeah, that would be an ultimate fat guy junk food night right there. What do you think? You know, that feeling you've ate too much and you just can't move, but you just want to sit there on the couch and you're just like, oh, that's wonderful. Do you do you think while you're out in the woods and say you urinate, would that disrupt a dogman or even a Sasquatch due to the pheromones in the room? You know, years ago in Idlewild, I did this. We're not near where my dad is, but in the area, there was a trail, remote trail. You can only, the public really didn't have access to it. And every time I went down this trail, there was one tree I always peed on. And I peed on it and went down the trail, didn't see anything. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, we were back up there and I went and the tree was knocked over. it was a sapling, small sapling, so it wasn't snapped in half, but it was like kind of uprooted and pushed over. And it was summer, so I know there wasn't an avalanche or anything. I thought maybe a squatch got tired of me pissing on a tree, so he pushed it over or pulled it out or whatever. But it could have been something else. Who knows? I didn't actually see it happen. I have to remain objective. But yeah, I think it definitely messes with them. Uh, Lake Superior Bigfoot. There is some channel that has Native American narration, first-person interviews. Oh, very cool. I'll have to check them out. Like I said, though, my time is so limited. There's so many Bigfoot channels out there. Shots fired. Um, Kids want to know what the best gift to their big hairy big brother is. Don't do it anywhere near your house. And beads, small pocket mirrors, maybe like some slime or goo or like silly putty, something that's like foreign to them. Plastic, something that they're not. Oh crap, low battery. Well, if it dies, it dies. Oh crap! Can you guys hang on? I'm gonna run and go get the charger. Wasn't too long, was it? Get the L extension cord out here. I very rarely get to do these live chats, so I don't want to. See here. We are plugged in. Yay! Uh-oh. So I froze there for a second. Oh well. Okay, back to where we were. Have you ever been threatened by men in black? No, I haven't. I keep waiting for the day it's going to happen. Red meat is the bomb. I have to agree. Pepperoni mushrooms and also black olives. I like olives on my pizza. Some places just put like 100 olives on each slice and it's too much. Like a handful for the whole pizza is good because it's kind of overpowering. But that used to be my favorite pizza growing up was pepperoni and olives for some reason. Anyway, I don't mind olives. Red meat is the bomb. I think you can tell I like food. Did you talk about your hike you posted the other day? You said you got zapped. Yeah, I talked about it earlier in there. Just it was a creepy place. I'm going to go back. I'm going to do some series of things. I'm just waiting for a few things to come into play. I'm going to be a lot more prepared. Why are Mexican directors so good at making films? I have no idea, but they do make good films. Threatened by the men in black. Never been directly threatened or confronted, but I have had emails disappear out of my inbox before. I have had conversations with other researchers about really heavy duty stuff and hear clicking on and off in the background. I remember I was talking to another researcher a while back and I was on the phone with him and I was on my Bluetooth in my car driving and I think he was at his house and I heard a sneeze and I said, "Bless you." And he's like, "That wasn't me. Did you sneeze?" I'm like, "No, I didn't sneeze." And then we heard clicking noises, so I think somebody was listening to me and sneeze. But that's about the extent of it. I think they keep tabs on me, but anyway. If you avoid red meat, you become a soy boy. Well, we don't want to point any fingers. There are other ways to get your protein in there. Oh, I love. Every time I have like a good fatty ribeye comes off the grill, I'm like, oh, people are missing out. I understand bad for the environment and all that other kind of stuff, and cow farts are wrecking the ozone layer, and I always try to ask people legitimately. So even 400 years ago, there were millions of bison and millions of deers and way more ungulate species all across the U.S. Way more than we have now, but it wasn't a problem then. But now the cows that we have that aren't anywhere near the numbers of species are a problem. I just want to know how it works. And I understand there's more to it with the water that they consume versus vegetables, but you got to understand that like a pound of meat is like 1,100 calories and a pound of spinach is like 50 calories. So you got to understand for output. It's a complicated subject. Bigfoot for president. Hey, he couldn't better than some of the last few clowns we've had in there. Watch horror movies and get a pizza and wings now. That's a good night. Yes, get some like Get some wings and some blue cheese dressing, not ranch on your wings, unless you're weird. Get some good cheap beer. Put on like House of a Thousand Corpses, some kind of campy horror movie, or Evil Dead. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. What do you think about the Super Croc Gustav? Reported 25-foot witnesses in Burundi. Claim it was way over 30 feet. I believe, those crocodiles and alligators, those species, they just keep growing. And if they have a steady supply of food and they remain healthy, I think they'll just get bigger and bigger. I think they're natural. Like occasionally you get like a 25-foot. Oh, great whites don't get over 18, 19 feet, and then someone spots a legitimate 23 or 25-foot one like Jaws, and they're like, that shouldn't be possible. Like a lot of humans and a lot of mammals grow and then we stop growing. A lot of other species just keep growing. So I think it's entirely possible. And are you Bigfoot Tony? Hey everybody, Bigfoot Tony here. Should probably put this on if you guys can even hear me. Sorry, that's probably better. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I didn't have the headphone on. You probably still heard me from the mic. Hey everybody, this is Bigfoot Tony here. Just want to go over some photos today. No, I am not Bigfoot Tony. He's cool. We've talked before about a few things. There's a loyal band of us. I'm a pescatarian, but I will eat meat once in a while. I do love fish. Fish is just so expensive. I always see your snaps, Aaron, on Instagram, and you're always eating like crab legs and lobsters and stuff like that. And I'm just like, well, that sounds good. I do love fish. I really do. I just love food in general. I'd say we probably eat more chicken than anything else because it's economical, or it can be. Pork's pretty cheap these days. I'm actually excited for everybody to stop eating beef so the price goes down. Okay. Remember the red button or red skeleton quote. Never take life seriously because you don't make it out alive. Exactly. Gotta go. Sorry. Take it easy. A little bad for the environment. It's just nonsense. Environmentalist extremists want to control what you eat. Yeah. I was trying to be politically correct. I don't necessarily believe that cows are a problem. I think if you have something against harming a mammal, like I said, I'm very libertarian. You do whatever the hell you want for your belief systems, and I'll try not to judge. Do you agree that it's hard to dismiss the theory of Bigfoot creatures being interdimensional? Well, we kind of talked about that a little bit ago. I think they do have a dimensionality of them. Do you think there are DUMBs? Deep underground military bases? Absolutely. What do you think NORAD is? We have acknowledged one, so why wouldn't there be a bunch of unacknowledged ones? Absolutely. I could go off on a whole other thing. I spent years studying the Dulce, Area 51, Dreamland, S4, USOs. I spent a long time studying the UFO phenomenon thing before I ever really seriously got into Bigfoot. So yes. Plus bison were all clustered together in a 20-mile long herds. Hundreds would drown out the Mississippi River and float away during the spring floods. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bisons. Anyone see the new Critters movie? No, I haven't. I was a big fan of the original. Creepy. I catch my own fish. That's amazing. I'm not much of a fisherman. Probably because I don't like the ocean. Lolo, Stater Brothers has killer seafood. They do, actually. Stater Brothers on meat, too. The only thing is, we're not close to a Stater Brothers. There's one on the other side of Tustin, and I got to go all the way to Orange to get to one. And yeah, actually, Smart and Final has closeouts on their steaks. Their steaks are expensive, but they have like a bargain bin of ones. You got to eat them like the next day or so, and I've been getting some killer deals on steaks there. But yes, Stater Brothers has the deal when it comes. I like Sprouts, which is a local grocery store here. They have the best produce. And Stater Brothers definitely has the best meat. For a normal grocery store, you either need to go to Stater Brothers or Albertsons. And then we go to Trader Joe's occasionally for some specialty items. It's a real pain. I can't just have one store that does everything for me. I seen a gugwe at 15 feet. Wow, that had to have been scary. I'm sorry. If you want to share your experience, email me at mattsquatchpresents@gmail.com. What's your theory about aliens or our future self evolving into humanity and they come time travel? I've heard that. And it's definitely a theory. It very well could be. And I think there's so many different variations of aliens that maybe one subspecies or a clan or whatever. I think what's pretty universally, because I got some connections in the UFO world, what's pretty universally accepted in the UFO community. Hold on, I got a text message. Oh, okay. Um, People in the UFO community is that the little gray aliens everybody's seen are some kind of drone, or they're some kind of like they're like flesh and blood in a sense that they're flesh and blood, but they're almost like a Terminator, where they're like a hive mind, a genetic being. They're like organic robots, if that makes sense, and they work for all the various different types of aliens. Hit that like button. Thank you. Ryan Tremblay, my brother. It's good to see you on here, buddy. Thanks for the $1. I do appreciate it. Oh, you mean hollow earth. So that's why people say, do you believe the... I want to do a whole live chat talking about conspiracy theories I think are stupid. And one of them is the flat earth. Like I said, I'm very libertarian. You believe whatever you want. You have your own set of belief systems. I am very non-judgy here. But at the same time, I think that... oh man, let me go back. Crap, you guys are firing them off too fast. I think, like, somebody says, do you believe in flat earth? I said, no, I believe in hollow earth, or at the very least, very deep caves and caverns. Do you think Bigfoot and aliens are working together? I think there might be some kind of a connection there. I can never seem to coincide what their connection might be. If you just think about it from a practical point of view, say there are extraterrestrials or extra-dimensionals, whatever these things people see in the sky, and they are abducting people. They take people for genetic experiment, for study, for research. And now the cat knows I'm going to pick her up, so she doesn't want to be on camera. So anyway, if I was abducting cows and abducting people and abducting all sorts of plants and animals, and I was like, well, there's something that looks like I'd probably abduct a Bigfoot too, because I'm trying to study life on wood. So maybe that's their connection. Kind of boring answer. What was the flathead monster? I think that's me on camera, because my head gets bigger every year. Mako is the fastest shark out there. Yeah, Makos are cool. I like sharks. Sharks are fascinating. Hello, Matt Squatch. Rick to Purple Albert. Well, buddy, hope to see you're doing well tonight. Yep. Your FBI agent must love you, Matt. Yeah, or I got the lazy one. Or I just haven't said anything controversial yet. You think the Megalodon's still alive? Honestly, I don't. But I think it's really cool to think about. And it could be. Like I said, I don't know. There's just no sightings of it. It's all just pure fiction. Greenland sharks and some of the whale sharks and stuff get like 25, 30 feet, like ginormous. That could be mistaken for one. But deep, dark depths, way in the middle of nowhere, surviving population, it's possible. Like I said, there's so much of the sea that's uncharted. Or maybe they are like a Bigfoot and they have some kind of extra-dimensional quality to them. Are there Bigfoots at Area 51s? Yes, they're Wookiees. They fix the aircraft. Haven't you seen Star Wars? Duh. Do you think Bigfoots are genetically crafted? I think at some point in their history they've had some tampering with their DNA. Because I have heard reports of insiders say there are purebloods and then there are ones that have been tampered with. Amazing restaurant in Iowa called King Kong's. They do steaks are amazing. They fall apart. Sounds. If I'm ever in Iowa, I'll have to go to King Kong's. I hope there's a big King Kong out front. I'm going to be very disappointed if there isn't. Do you think we were created from Sasquatch? Well, if you go back biblically and you think about some of the concepts of the Nephilim and fallen angels and the animals, and God created the heaven and the earth, and then they created man. Maybe they were around before us. Maybe they were some kind of prototype. Order your non-perishables from Walmart. It's cheaper and it comes in 2 days or less. I've never seen a cryptid. You know, they're hard to spot. It's always going to be when you put your camera down and you're taking a leak behind a tree is when you're going to see one, not when you have your camera out and you're ready. Megalodon hunted other huge species. The biggest whale now is a blue whale. I think a meg would have a hard time keeping up. Plus competition with other smaller, more agile cousins. Yeah, I think so too. Flathead monsters. Have you ever seen UFOs? I've seen orbs, but I've never seen a UFO. But then again, you probably hear it flying over now. I've lived around airports my whole life. So I don't know. I've seen lights that I thought maybe, oh, what the hell is that? And they turned out to be a meteorite or a plane. You should go on Joe Rogan. That's actually my dream. I'd love to be on Joe Rogan. I'd love to be on Coast to Coast. Those are my two big things. I'll know I've really made it when I've gone on Coast to Coast. Because to be honest, some of the people they have on Coast to Coast, I think I could be a little more entertaining. I'll put it that nicely. I would love to be on Joe Rogan. That would, if anybody knows Joe Rogan or has contacts, or you guys want to start a letter writing campaign, that's my dream. I'd love to be on Joe Rogan. I'm not a pothead, but I'd probably bring a bottle of whiskey or some beer I like, and I got some theories I could throw at him and blow his mind. And I think he would be all like, "Whoa!" And he kind of been into Bigfoot in the past and kind of sloughed it off as a joke. And he has says he believes, but he kind of just he doesn't know. I think it would be fun. I think I'd want to approach it to like I'm a paranormal guy who specializes in Bigfoots and other things, and not just all about Bigfoot. Although we can talk about whatever we want. If you watch his podcast, he goes off on some tangents sometimes. But my only request, I mean, I'd be such a great honor to be on Joe Rogan. My only request would be that he take it somewhat seriously, that he doesn't just making it, you know, Ryan, Matt Squatch was asking for someone to bring donuts. Okay. Yeah, that's why Big Roswell happened. They took up Bigfoot but didn't realize how pure muscle they had. It was too heavy and they picked up a desert Sasquatch and it crashed, right? Uh, what about human alien hybrids? I'm sure it happens. There's some really strange people out there. Uh, do you think we created from Sasquatch, Flathead Lake Monster, Purple Hobbit? Okay, do you think we're serious about learning the stuff most of us care about validating whether we believe flat Earth is a no? Exactly. How how bad cryptids in Texas and Florida? I've heard Pilates 5 books in each of those two states alone. Yeah, well, Texas, the Big Thicket, they have so many Bigfoot and Dogman stories, and the Lake Worth monster and strange stuff. Florida too. Yeah, the whole this whole southern region, pretty much from Florida to Texas, is loaded with them. Uh, you ever had Sierra Nevada Bigfoot ale? I've had their other stuff like their pale ales and their sculpin and stuff. I like Sierra Nevadas a lot. I drank IPAs have been so popular now, especially here in Southern California. We kind of were the birthplace. So like even in like 2008, IPAs were starting to take off before the rest of the country. And I've just gotten so burnt out on IPAs. I've kind of looked at other things, but I do enjoy them. I'm just trying to drink less beer. Uh, Many years ago, I was with my sister's room. We looked out the window, and there was an eye. It was only for an instant, but I saw the eye, and it was big and green, and it belonged to something that was 7 feet. I think you saw an alien. Big sharks and eat big amount of food. Exactly. Only cryptids I know in Florida are the skunk ape. They get dogman sightings there too. There are rake sightings in Florida. Um, yeah, not to mention all the like we talked about before, alligators, feral hogs, and all the big snakes and shit that people release down there. Wookiees, LOL, you crack me up. Could ghost? Could there ghost of? Could there be ghost of a deceased Sasquatch? Very good question. I don't know. Maybe that would explain some of the glowing eyes and weird stuff we see. Uh, do you know what jinns are? There's some kind of Middle Eastern demon. Um, Middle Eastern or Far East. The difference between Arabs and Persian is a long story. But yeah, they go a long way back. There's some kind of like their version of like a banshee or a ghoul kind of a thing. And I know there's connections to like witches and that kind of stuff. I should do a whole video on jinns. Email me. I'm gonna forget. Yep, yep, like deer hunting. Every time some gum. Oh no, God created man in His image. Sasquatch are a different species. Well, there you go. Um, like I said, prototyping. Maybe hey, let's make something that walks upright. Hey, it worked out for Sasquatch. I don't want to argue with anybody with their religion. Because you believe what you want to believe. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think the Sasquatches were there before humans, and I think especially with our consciousness, God made us like Him, and God made us in His image, like you said. But I don't know. He had a lot of time by himself. Who's to know what if he made Sasquatch or not, or it's an abomination by somebody else. Uh, Theory: every evolution of mankind, including Bigfoot, has an alien experiment. Very well could be too. Um, well, one of the things I thought was very interesting is that apes. What time are we at? 79. Okay, we'll go for another 10 or 15 minutes, folks. Um, is that apes have entered the Stone Age, and in the last 10, we've been studying chimpanzees since the 60s with Jane Goodall, and they were kind of peaceful, fun-loving at times, but violent at times, protective chimpanzees. One clunked her over the head. But in the last 10 or 15 years, we've realized that they're eating meat, and they seem to be eating a lot of meat. And troops that never ate meat before are hunting down other gorilla, or they're hunting down other chimps and eating monkeys. New behavior that in the 50 years we've been studying them, in the last 10 or 15 we've been seeing. They're also seeing chimps use more tools. And I don't just mean they're using a stick to get termites. They're bending and modifying their environment and making things and doing more than they ever had. And this is all recently. And it's very scary. Like, wow, these things are smart. What are your current opinions on devil monkeys? I think they're some kind of rare cryptid creature. They are rare. People don't see devil monkeys a lot, but every now and then they're like, hey, this thing looked like a big overgrown baboon, somewhere between a baboon and a Bigfoot, but it was down on all fours running through the bushes. I think that's a devil monkey. Could be misidentified dogman, I guess, too. Here's the Adams. What about other dimensions? I can't spell. I do believe in other dimensions. What do you think aliens would be on Earth? Why do you think aliens would be on Earth? They have their own motivations. What was that one back to? Someone said Joe Rogan is special. How about we raid Joe Rogan's last video or last Instagram post and tell him to have you on his podcast? Do it. Go on there. Just be like, have Matt Squatch. I follow him, so just be out there at Matt Squatch. You need to be a guest. You just go on Twitter. I'm on Twitter and I'm on Instagram. So just keep tagging me in all of his posts at Matt Squatch. And maybe he'll look at mine and see my channel and go, this guy's into some weird shit. Hey, I could go to his studio. It's not like I got to fly from across the country or call in. He's in LA. He's like 45-minute, hour and 15-minute drive from me. Should be 45-minute drive, but traffic. I'm going to Area 51. No, Naruto run, though. I'm going to Ric Flair strut all the way to Area 51. Woo! Well, I told you about Area 51. I've given this a lot of thought. I just haven't been able to find one. Buy a used ice cream truck. Go to Costco. Go to Smart and Final. Load it up full of sodas. Fill it up with bags of chips. Fill it up with ice cream cones, because it's going to be September 20th. It's going to be 110 degrees out there, and you're going to have a bunch of fat internet people like myself out there, and they're all going to be dying of heat stroke. And who's going to sell them a Gatorade for $5? The Matt Squatch Present Refreshment Truck. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Would you like an ice cream sandwich? I have those too for $5. Would you like a bag of chips? I have those too for $3.50. Come on over to the Matt Squatch Presents Ice Cream Truck. And when I'm done, I'll sell the truck. Just pull over on the side of the road. Perfect. Of course, it's Las Vegas, so the mob would probably come break my legs because I'm not licensed. Matt Scotch Pence, I'll work up some merch designs for y'all and I'll shoot them over on Twitter. Yes, that would be amazing. Where do you think Bigfoot will go when they die? If you mean heaven, I don't think so. I honestly, that's a good. Boy, that's really getting out there. How would I know that? Sam Adams is good beer. Sam Adams is good for cheap beer. They are good. Matt Squatch, what's the meaning of life? The meaning of life is the pursuit of happiness and the pursuit of love. Dogman is real. There's a threat. U.S. government's conspiring to cover him up. Republicans alike, their own agenda. Stay woke, stay armed. Okay, I believe you. Do you think Sasquatch will be validated in our lifetime? Yes. But Matt Squatch, the earth looks so flat to me. Yeah, I know it does. All right, a few more here. Do you think Bill Sheen and Terror in the Woods books are legit or fake encounters? He sent me links to some of his pre-production books, and I've read parts of them. I haven't gotten through all of them. Like I said, it's a time constraint. And I think they're inspired by events. I don't necessarily think that he's word for word recreating them. What are your next videos, Matt? Good question. Part 1 of my encounters with the demonic entity in the office building. That's coming out tomorrow. And it's a longer video. I think it's like 20 some minutes. But shit gets real wild. I talk about the walls growling at me and objects moving and black cloaked figures I saw in the darkness. Strange garbled demon noises coming over our radios, and multiple people saw this stuff. The opinion on the Epstein situation. Yeah, he was totally killed. He knew way too many high profile people. And, on suicide watch, the guard wasn't there. They probably walked in and handed him all $100 bills. Or, you're next, buddy. And they all looked the other way and someone greased him. I also saw a theory that his, hey everyone, let's raid Joe Rogan's Instagram and tag Matt Squatch. Do it. Tag me. Go on Instagram and just start tagging me on there. Instagram or Twitter. I'm on both. I don't have a Facebook because they suck. Yes, I know Facebook owns Instagram. Bigfoot and DM are the win for that. I think DM has got take down the giants. Yeah, there's a lot of theories that the Dogman was genetically engineered to fight off the Nephilim. Good as theory as any. When you go to die, as in physical location, because we can't find... Where do they go when they die as physical remains? I think they bury their dead. I think in times are rough, like Neanderthals and humans still do when times are extremely rough. They probably eat them. They probably eat each other. They probably bury each other. And if one just dies off in the woods by itself, North American soil, especially in conifer forest, is very acidic and eats away bones within a matter of weeks. Scavengers would do the rest. And I think to go way off in the woods to be alone to die. Matt, do you think if you shoot a Sasquatch and it's private, he'll retreat or get pissed? Well, he ain't peeing if you shoot him in the privates. All I got to say is if you shoot Sasquatch in the ding-dong, you better kill him. Just for his sake and for your sake. I don't think that's a good idea. I think neck and head shots. Cranial ocular cavity. The chest is going to be very, very heavy. I don't think that's a good idea. But cranial ocular cavity, the neck, in here, soft spots. Maybe in the teeth if you can get it up at an angle. Just head, neck area, that's going to be your best shot. If somehow you could get them under the arms or in the side, they're probably softer there. But full front chest shots or private shots, yeah, he'll probably rip your privates off if you shoot him there. Epstein situation, like I said, he was killed. I saw a thing where his body looked like he was swapped because it was Tinfoil Pod had pictures of his last known picture and picture of him on the gurney. And they guess it was an older white guy with white curly hair, but it really didn't look like him. It really didn't look like him. So he might be on some other island living out his life, a pile of cash. What's your take on the Amityville horror? Demonic possession is what I think that is. Matt, that experience you had with a demonic entity was a djinn, and so are aliens? Possibly. The Epstein situation is so infuriating, totally off. Yeah, even say what you want about Trump. Even he was like, major newscasts. The only people that actually think that it was a suicide is the mainstream media. CNN, MSNBC. Everybody else I've talked to, my dad, my mom, people who aren't into this stuff at all, they all think that he was like, they're like, yeah, suicide. Nobody believes it for a minute. Just like they think that Lee Harvey Oswald was the only shooter that killed Kennedy. You know, there's just certain things where it's like, come on. Okay. Epstein situation is really frustrating. All they can do is stop the curses and being built on native graveyards. Yeah. It's kind of sad. I agree, Aaron. Do you think any Sasquatch stories or doghead near Daniel Boone Park in Kentucky? Kentucky has lots of Dogman and Sasquatch stories. So yes. Where's the Bigfoot poop? Well, it often gets mistaken for bear poop. It looks like human poop, but like really big around. So it's like, oh man, look at that giant turd. So that's what I think. Matt Scotch, what do you think of 10 millimeter copper rounds? I like it. Ear shapes were different, okay? Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Mother Teresa. Okay? Have you seen a Sasquatch? At night, in the dark, I've seen figures, and I've seen eye shine. I've never seen one clear daylight. Ryan Tremblay considers Sasquatch and Dogman are probably natural enemies. We have to consider that their own biases towards each other would keep them not being an effective team. I think if there was a mountain giant in the area, Sasquatch, Dogman, humans, and every bear would probably band together to go take one of those effers out. Never underestimate the government's incompetence, though. Suicide watch. I mean, yeah, the fact that they found broken bones in his neck that typically aren't found when people do a self-strangulation. That's more of a neck snap, like a hanging. And he got beat the crap out of a few weeks before. Hey, another inmate got paid off to do it, or a guard, or someone came in, showed some badges and says, you didn't see nothing, and killed him, and then walked out. We'll never know. I think they're trying to hope that it'll fade away, which is so sad. The real victim of this is not that I don't think Epstein deserved death. I think he was a bad man and he needed to die. But the fact that he wasn't able to face trial, and the fact that, here's the real part of the conspiracy, he wasn't able to name all the peoples, left, right, Democrat, Republican, Hollywood's executives, big business, Wall Street types that were all tied up with him in his sick child pedo ring. Anyway, who are you to say what we feel, because those who don't mind matter, those who matter don't mind. Yeah, I like that saying. Hey, Matt, many years ago I was in my house and something standing 7 to 8 feet tall outside of the window. It was big and green, and whatever it was gone in an instant. Yeah, like I said, I think that's an Aryan. Hey, Matt, you look like the character from The Hills Have Eyes. Have you seen it? Not one of the mutants, right? Susan, you got to clarify. You're not talking about one of the mutants, right? You're talking about one of the normies. Please tell me you're talking about one of the normies. Although it's kind of hilarious if you think the other way around. Come on, Susan, we're waiting on your response. If you see The Hills Have Eyes, you look like one of the characters. If you've seen it, which character? That's important. Okay. Both guards were sleeping and tried to cover it up. Why both guards? Seems odd. Yeah. Let's send Bigfoot a Rubik's Cube. That would be amazing. Watch him just go. Done. What do you think about aiming at arteries and legs and arms? It's not fast enough. Even if he's 50 yards away, he'd come thump your ass. Even with a femoral shot. I would hate to shoot a Bigfoot, but it'd have to be headshot. You'd have to put him down. There's a YouTube channel that has a dude from Saudi Arabia doing investigation in his housings and haunted by jinn. It's entertaining as hell, even if you can't understand him. Yeah, the Middle East and India, which is more Asia, Pakistan, which is kind of in between, and then like Saudi, all those areas, they got some weird videos on YouTube of witches and demons and stuff like that. Brandon Rule, fighting styles are best used on Bigfoot, or just for fun, what fighting styles are best used on Bigfoot and Dogman? Big guns. Millionaire people don't end up going to prison. They get out on witness protection program type thing. Yeah, if he's alive, he dyed his hair and got a nose job and is going to lay low for a while. What do you think about silver bullets? Silver bullets are a Hollywood myth. Use copper, and you can actually find copper bullets. Okay, come here. Come here. Say hi, Thumbelina. It's our Chunker's cat. Yeah. Okay, goodbye, cat. Okay, we're going to hang it up here in a few minutes, guys. So let's get the last few questions in. Know a guy that had 2 visits at night while visiting. This cat, she comes right back to me. He's a glutton for punishment. Outhouse on Tuesday. Know a guy who had 2 visits on a night while 2 separate occasions. So what did Susan end up saying about me? Which guy I look like? She deleted her message, so she must have said something not. And Susan said, Rick said, Susan not cool. Digger's Cryptid Down Under Awareness. Good day. Aim for the Face. Mountain Monsters is one of the worst shows in general. Yeah, they are. What happened to Thinker Thunker? I think he's got another job and he's busy. Prehistoric Matt. The show is so weird. Hi, Thumbelina. Yeah, there's a cat, Thumbelina. Daphne's over there knocked out on the couch. If you go to Sutton again, you should let me know. I died when I was about 3, and then things started happening to me. I'll buy you lunch at Nancy's and tell you all about it. Yeah, probably next year I'm planning to go back to Alaska. Sutton, huh? I actually like Sutton. It was a cool place. Have you ever thought about a booby trap with Bigfoot and those popper fireworks, putting them into the ground and give away their position? Yeah, I think they smell a trap though from a mile away. Silver, why copper? Because it was the ancients that mined copper to fight off the chimeras of the past, and copper was worth more than gold. Even after they developed steel and early iron, they still used copper to fight off demons. So copper's the real silver, folks. Silver ruins your guns. Silver's pretty soft. So probably would not lead up your guns, but silver up your guns. Are you a Gemini, Matt Squash? No, I'm a Pisces actually. February 24th. See, astrology, I'm like, some days I'm like, yeah, this person's like, it's a Gemini, and they're a water sign, and they're a fire sign, and I'm like, yeah, and then other times I'm like, that's all bullshit. Were you hit with the buzz like the thing you in the last video, or if so, what did it feel like? I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. Hit with a buzz like the thing in your last video. The paranormal stuff, it wasn't a buzz. It was more of a deep, deep inset fear. And I never felt a buzz when I got creeped out down that trail a little while ago. It was just overwhelming sense of fear and a headache. I miss Thinker Thunker. He was good. Probably made him. He was so good they probably made him stop making videos. Like I said, he's busy. He still puts out a video now and then. Bigfoot wasn't a real animal. Gigantopithecus. Wasn't Bigfoot a real animal? Gigantopithecus. That's one of the theories out there. They've only found a little bit of jaw and teeth. They really don't know what Gigantopithecus look like. I came back to life after I died, by the way. One Coke to go. I kind of figured you had a near-death experience, or you had a heart attack, or you drowned or something, and they brought you back. That's what I figured. What do you think of the Bermuda Triangle? I think there's vortexes out there, and planes disappear. Or it messes some electromagnetic frequency messes with the instruments on the plane, and they crash. I don't believe in anything supernatural, but I'm open-minded. Good idea. Popcorn Sutton is drinking with Bigfoot. Sure he is. Thinker Thunker got a channel on another site or whatever, but he got tired of YouTube, so he left it, and I saw his videos on YouTube. Yeah, I think he might be. Same with Bob Gimlin. I don't know if I'm sticking it out on YouTube, but it seems a lot of these guys, they go to Patreon, and you can pay for content, and they make more money, and they can produce what they want, and they don't have the rules that YouTube has, so I kind of get it. Thanks, everyone, for Thinker Thunker info. My wife just farted in her hand and threw it in my face. Very nasty. But I do that to my wife, too, sometimes. Honestly, stay safe out there, Matt. Thank you. I think Bigfoot can feel the presence like Dogman. They know what you're thinking. I think they can maybe sense your intentions, maybe not what you're thinking, but yes. What's that it was trying to say about the trail you walk on? So back to the trail to walk on. I'm not... like I said, I got creeped out, but I never felt a buzzy feeling. I just got creeped out and really fearful, and a feeling of like being watched. Like if I kept going down this trail, like I just envisioned, like I sensed a trap, if that makes sense, and that was the main reason. And I started to get headachy, and I had a headache for like 3 or 4 days afterwards. What do you think of the Kraken? Release the Kraken. My wife's home. All right, I got to hang up. Anyway, so have a great night. Stay safe out there, and thank you guys very much.